now we have reached the stage where we're going to slowly build these cross-chain games. So we are going to build the coin flip as the first one, where users can go here to liquidity, create a coin flip position. So basically people can play a coin flip against the pool. You have a 49.5% chance to win, basically. So either double up almost or lose your money, right? And you can do that against the pool. So you are not dependent on waiting for someone else to join that lobby. But we are also creating it as a PvP game. So all of the games that can work as a PvP version, we will have a PvP version, simply because that's a guaranteed profit for the protocol every time. The pool is not. Well, over long term it is, but in the short term it is not, right? So there are scenarios where you cannot do it a PvP style. For instance, a roulette. It's a little bit hard to build a roulette where if you want to bet on number 8, you have to get another person to basically bet on everything else than number 8, right? That can't really work, because then you'll be waiting for 3 days to find someone who's willing to take the opposite side of that. So in the roulette case, it will only be a pool game where you are playing against liquidity from other users. And the liquidity is basically working exactly like a Uniswap pool. You provide the liquidity in stable coins, you receive the LP tokens for doing that. And if the pool is up because users are losing, you can withdraw it and you would get more stable coins back. And if the users are winning and you are exiting, well, then you are getting less. So it's quite straightforward. The cool thing is just that this is a decentralized way to be a part ownership of a casino, right? And it's a cross-chain casino utilizing the newest standards and the newest innovation. And we are going to build out all of the classic games, Dice, Mines, Crash, Tower, High-Low, Double, Powerball, Sports, Fortune Wheels, Roulette, Chain Race, Video Slots. Video Slots is the big one, right? Video Slots, it's incredible. I think they have 80% of all gambling volume at this point, and we have Unity developers hired full time on our team just to make video slots on chain. And we already have a demo working where you basically connect with MetaMask and you pay the tokens, and it will give you 100 auto spins on a Unity integrated video slot with sounds and animations and everything. And then it's obviously, in reality, it's just a visualizer, right? You pay, let's say, $100 for 100 spins. You get a result back from Chainlink. At that moment, the system already knows what you're gonna win, right? Our website is just a visualization of that. So essentially, we are just showing you 100 spins of what it was determined on second one. So,
Gotcha.
but on-chain video slots is coming, and we want to be some of the first to build it. We already have it, and we are slowly trying to. The biggest issue with video slots is that they are extremely. They have a big. If you want to be competitive on those, you know, your competition have sound animation. They have hundreds of people working on just making the animations and the sounds. It's quite a competitive market, but we are doing our best to build somewhat of a competitive slot machine, and also multiple to select between, right? Because we just know it's such a big market, and I think the narrative behind you being able to provide liquidity to a video slot is probably quite strong. So that is a big one that we want to
So
complete.
how do people provide liquidity, right? Like if they want to provide liquidity for games and profit off that, what's the process?
The process is that you simply go to the liquidity management page right here. You click add new position, and that will just give you a scrollable list of which game you want to select. You can see two position was created here where
And
they
those are the
selected
APRs
roulette.
at the top.
Yes, this here it is a roulette position. Someone put 1,000 USDT. They were forced to lock 20,000 OC together with that, and that is a part of the tokenomic of the OC token. Is that you're not using the OC token at any way. The token OC has nothing to do with the gambling itself. So players are not playing with OC token. Players are not winning OC token. Basically, OC token is used to determine who is allowed to reap the benefits from the gambling profits.
And
I know
So
previously there was
that's
an
a huge
NFT thing for
difference
that.
from the original setup, right? With Pulse Pot token.
yes,
Those were
there
those
you were
were
able
those
to
were
use that.
able to be gambled.
Yes,
We
absolutely.
do have a DGen in chat, Max Payne. He is a gambler big time, right? He has asked for craps, blackjack, and now betting on Premier League, which I believe is soccer or some foreign sport that's not
Yes.
American. But we'll give it to him.
Well, as always, with some types of games, you have the problem of shielding information. So, for instance, blackjack and poker is a classic example, is that you have to modify the game in a way where you cannot really securely hide information. So, for instance, if you're playing poker on chain, well, you really want to make sure your opponent doesn't know which cards you have, right? And that is a big no-go in security-wise, and generally we want to stay clear of that with the current infrastructure blockchain offers. If we do blackjack, it's going to be a modified version where there is no hidden cards at any time, and there is no there can be multi-decision, that is all right, but there is no hidden information because that is just a pitfall. And poker is completely off the table. Basically, there are some game types that are very, very difficult to do in a secure way. Obviously, sports will be possible simply because Chainlink does have sport providers, even though that the sport providers is actually only coming from a single source. And, is that then decentralized when you have one company who is putting the result on chain? Probably not. But it is possible, and it is something that we are going to do. So users will be able to bet on sports results as well, and in that case, there will not be any liquidity situation. It will basically be a PvP game where you have let's say you have a football game, and if the majority of the money bets on team A, well then the outcome will the payouts will adjust based on the liquidity on each side of the result. So we are not providing any odds or anything towards a pool. It will be purely PvP basically. The same way that we did with our UFC events and all of the other things we have done, where basically you can select who is the winner, and based on how many people think the opposite, well, that will define your payout. But it will be possible. We will obviously try to include as many popular games as possible, because a platform like this and the OC token really thrives through activity and recognition and usage, right? But just to make fast Abdul's question finish here, is that when you have provided, let's say you provided $1,000 in stablecoin liquidity, it would require you to lock, this is just example values, it would require you to, with that stablecoin liquidity, to lock X amount of OC tokens for the duration of that. So these tokens, you will never lose them, even though the entire liquidity pool goes to zero or anything. This is just like staking basically. And when you do that, this number you're staking here is actually what is also determining who is getting the PvP fee earning. So the more liquidity you are providing to multiple games, the more PvP fee earning from all of the other non-pool games you would actually receive, because the distribution of PvP fee earnings comes from the amount of OC tokens you have staked. And you can only stake OT tokens by actually providing liquidity to the pool games, right? So when you do this, you have a guaranteed income on the fee earning, and then you can always real-time track your pool value. So in this case here, well, obviously this is marketing, right? So we would make the green numbers, but this could just as well be red numbers, because it is dependable on did the user, are they winning or are they losing? But now this is math, and we assume that math does what it's supposed to do. then you would probably be up, and you can be tons up, or you can be a little up, or you can be, whatever up, but you can, if you serve, you have a minimum time that your liquidity needs to be in the pool before you can actually exit it again. So we don't want people just to jump in and jump out all of the time. So when you have served the time that is minimum required, you can either just claim the PvP fee earnings, the guaranteed profit, or you can end your entire position, which would give you the entire liquidity back plus your profits and the PvP fee earnings. Basically just ending your entire liquidity position plus the fees, right? Or you can just subclaim only the fees and keep your liquidity position. So this is basically how the liquidity management is going to work. And this tokenomic here, so imagine we open up all of the games over at a new chain. Let's say Monad chains goes from testnet to mainnet, and suddenly it becomes a big thing over there. Well, nobody has OC token, and they will all be rushing to buy it on a chain where they can get it, so they can bridge it over to Monad, so they can start set up their liquidity position, because nobody can play the games if nobody is putting in the liquidity. Only the PvP games will be active if there is no pool liquidity, and if nobody has staked their tokens, well, then nobody is earning the PvP fees either. So people will be rushing to buy the tokens on the chains where it's available, bridging it over to the new adopted chain, and then that will decide who can set up the liquidity to earn from the games and earn from the PvP.
Now, previously, I remember with BNB Pot, people had to have like an NFT to be able to provide liquidity for the games. What happened with that?
Yes, so this is the exact same thing, just multi, basically, just so that multiple people can do it on the same time. So this idea here came from the NFT way we were doing it. The thing is that with NFT one, we had a centralized one wallet that could do it, and unfortunately, what we saw was that if that wallet was hacked or whatever, or lost, then that game would just be down forever, right? If that person decided to suddenly not have the capital to run the game, then it would just be unavailable for the entire platform. So that was a pitfall. So what we're doing now is, instead of only having one person who can provide liquidity, we're opening it up for anyone with OC token to be able to provide liquidity to the game. And the way that we're going to compensate those that had the previous NFTs is that they will get a large part of the OC supply as compensation for not having the NFT doing the utility anymore, basically.